Welcome. I trust everyone is having a marvelous day, a wonderful week, and most importantly, an opportunity to slow self down and to really take time to see where you are. Once again, my name is Gary Ingram, and welcome to my live session this evening on my video channel. And tonight we will be discussing the car perspective, right? And this is number 8 in my holistic spiritual recovery model, which is a model I developed to assist me in marital and family therapy. Now, as a marital and family therapist in the tri state area, there are many, and I counted over 100 of marital and family therapists in the area. And when I came into this field, which was several years ago, I wanted to do something differently. I wanted to do something unique because each marital and family therapist specializes in different areas of expertise. There are so many theories out there. Um, and I believe as a therapist, you need to have as many tools in your toolbox to meet the needs of your clientele. So my approach is holistic, which basically means it deals with the 4 areas of life, right? And the 4 areas of life are physical welfare, psychological welfare, spiritual welfare, and social welfare. Now, each aspect is unique. It has its strengths. It also has its challenges. But with my approach of looking at the 4 areas of life, it helps you to understand the strengths and the challenges that's in your family tree relative of these 4 areas of life. In other words, in your physical welfare, there are challenges health wise, such as diabetes, heart disease, cancer, stroke, high blood pressure, that's in your family tree. And you are susceptible to any one of these diseases just because of your lifestyle. These 5 diseases is embedded in your family tree. And if you look at issues from a social perspective, there are so many issues inside the world that impacts the health of the individual and family. For example, ever since COVID, a lot of jobs in the major cities have closed down, and a lot of jobs are doing remote work, right? So socially, a lot of people have been impacted by the COVID, which is a good example. And as a result, a lot of people lost their jobs, right? And you have to adapt to a different lifestyle, especially if you was working at your job and your job just because of COVID went remote and continues to go remote. All right, so we talked about physical and psychological, and there are a lot of circumstances in your health. You go to the doctor, and the doctor is asking you, what is wrong. They ask you so many questions about your health, and a lot of times doctors may not know immediately what your issues are. A lot of testing has to occur, right? And the testing um, helps you to help the doctor to understand what is wrong. What is your systems attached to? What disease your symptoms attached to? Socially, we mentioned the COVID, and just think about many issues that's happening in the world. Lack of medical care, unemployment, poverty, the economy is just unpredictable at times. Food is so expensive. Gas is so expensive. Last year or the year before, we went to Los Angeles for vacation. I couldn't believe how high the gas prices was. I'm like, wow, wow. So there are a lot of issues that impact the family. From a psychological point of view, there are so many diseases and symptoms out there that's impacting the family, right? And as clinician, oftentimes I have to figure out what is the client's diagnoses, and that's really based on their symptoms. And a lot of diagnoses overlap, right? Yet is the therapist's job to figure out what psychological issues is causing this client distress. Nevertheless, those three aspects of life are challenging to try to figure out what is going on socially, psychologically, um, physically in the client's life to try to figure out what brings him or her to therapy. Yet, um, what the therapists do is the therapist conducts a genogram to try to figure out what issues are in the family tree that brings the client or the family to therapy, right? And it is educational, is informative, and even if you're not in therapy, I will recommend you to do a genogram to find out what issues are permeating in your family tree that's causing you distress this evening. And I often um, do genogram in therapy to try to figure out, okay, what issues are presented in the family tree that's causing concerns for the client. And a lot of times, the client does not even know the issues that's affecting them, or if they know, they don't know the impact it has in areas of their life. Those three areas are real challenging. What I find specifically in the spiritual realm of understanding health and wealth, you either going left or you're going right. There's no middle ground. You're either going left or right. You're either going up or down. You're either hot or cold. You're either in Jesus or not. And the truth of the matter, the physical, psychological, and social aspects is really under the umbrella of spiritual. This is where the word shalom comes in. Shalom means health and wealth in all areas of your life. So these four aspects, without um, discussing these issues with client, I already know that your issues, which bring you to therapy, is found in these four areas, right? It's so important for therapists to have as many tools in their toolbox to meet the needs of their client. Now, not every client is into spirituality, so the therapists have to be able to um, locate or identify a therapeutic approach that's going to meet the needs of their client. For example, emotional focused therapy focus on slowing down the emotions, identifying the emotions that drive behaviors, name it, externalize it from the person, throw it out the window, and replace it with your desired emotion. For example, if you find that in your behavior, frustrations and anger is attached to everything that you do, you have to identify the emotion. Where in your body are you feeling frustration? If you're feeling inside your brain, right, what how does it feel when that anger goes to all areas of your body, right? And usually when you are frustrated, it's so difficult to engage in solution focused activities because you're so focused on that anger, you're stuck. It's as if you're having a flat tire. So the whole premise of emotional focused therapy is identifying the emotion, externalize it, and replace it with the desired emotion you want to drive your behavior. Let's say patience. If you focus on patience and you allow the attribute of patience to guide your thoughts and your interactions and your decision making activities with the discussion, it's so easy to focus on the solution because your patience, your thoughts are overriding your emotions as opposed to your emotions overriding your thoughts. Now, Where does the car perspective comes in? Last time I checked, there are 4 wheels on your car. And the 4 wheels of your car represent the 4 areas of your life, right? What will happen if one of your tires is not properly filled with air, right? That if it's not properly filled with air, then it's going to impact the other 3 areas of your life. And it's so difficult to drive straight if one of your wheels is not up to par, it's not as healthy in the other three wheels. What has happened is that I find that a lot of people, and let me look at myself first. When I did my genogram, and I looked at my family tree for my maternal and my paternal family, I found that the wheels of my tire was not 100%. Right. And as a result, it was so difficult for me to get to my destination because there was so much I can't never say the word ambiguity, confusion, distractions, a lot of potholes that prevent me from getting where I am because I was dealing with these family of origin experiences and even past relational experiences that I really never brought to the surface and unpacked in my own work, emotion, and in my own car perspective. Car perspective basically means you are examining where you are, examining your past, your present, and your future with these four perspectives. So what happens is that when you slow yourself down and you take ownership, and this is where the acronym comes in. I have my colleague on the line. Taisha, when we slow ourselves down and we take ownership, and I'm thinking about the acronym HOT that we have discussed many times. Being humble. The opposite of humble is pride. When you are prideful, you're not ready to have a family team discussion or a child safety conference. Those are terms that we use at a job. When you are angry and frustrated and you're not taking ownership, it's because you're prideful. And when you're prideful, is that you're in the process of blaming others. You're not being humble in your experiences. And when you are humble, is that you driving your car, but you're not going nowhere. You think you're going somewhere, but you're not going nowhere because you're stuck you're stuck in your emotions. And many times we are stuck in our emotions. All right. So what does it take to realize that there are traumatic experiences, emotional experiences in the family of origin and in past relational issues that's impacting you today? What do you need to do to understand, my wheels are not properly filled up where I can have health in them and make proper decisions? Because the truth of the matter, the 4 areas of our life have to be in the process of being heightened. There's this term called differentiation, right? Bowen had developed this term, and it basically means to separate yourself from your family of origin experiences so these 4 areas of your life can be heightened, right? Or in the process of being heightened so you can make better decisions in the here and now, right? So this perspective helps you to be humble. And the acronym, once again, HOT. Humility, O is ownership, and T is transparency. And this is what's lacking in individuals today. Remember, you have to know yourself from the 3 aspects of life: your past, your present, and future, which aligns with the 4 areas of life to really understand your purpose. All right. So as we think about the car perspective, and I'm monitoring the questions, right? And you look at the rear view mirror that's inside the car, notice that it is not at the same eye level, that it's a little higher than you. The reason why it's higher than you, it gives you the ability to see what's behind you. One of my favorite texts. Well, I'm going to go spiritual now. I have a text. This is taken from Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8 and 9. And this is what Jesus says. My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my thoughts higher than your thoughts, and my ways higher than your ways. I can unpack this in so many ways, but I'll keep it simple. The reason why Jesus' thoughts and his ways are different than ours is because his home, come on now, his home is organized. His home is refreshing. His home has a calm atmosphere about it. And this is what's lacking in our homes. A lot of our homes, which is predicated on the cleanliness of our cars and how we move at our jobs, your desk. If your desk and your car and your home is disorganized, then your decision-making activity is going to be clouded. So that mirror that's above you, from a therapeutic point of view, it represents three aspects of self: me, myself, and I. And each one of them aligns to your past, present, and future. All right. And so when you look at the mirror, you're able to see three aspects of yourself in the heavenly atmosphere. Notice the higher we think, the closer we get to God. And we start to think like him. We start to behave like him, and we understand the process of having healthy homes. Notice that the back of your car is called a trunk. And wherever you go, it goes with you. I remember reading a quote, and it says this: wherever you go, your past goes with you. Yet, your past does not dictate how you feel about yourself. And how you feel about yourself is eternal. So your past, once you let me slow myself down. Once you express your emotions and you verbalize it, is as you are externalize it and the past events. You put it in the trunk of your car, which is outside your person. Wherever you go, it goes with you. Yet it does not dictate how you feel within. You, when you look at that mirror, you have the capabilities of reframing it as an object lesson of growth and expansion that does not keep you in the past. It helps you to understand your purpose so you can go to your destination. So that mirror represents the Godhead that's actually in each and every person. It is otherwise known as a spark. And a spark only needs, I'm sorry, is known as a match, which is within everyone, right? You can look at the match as aspect of your brain, the neurons that fire off electricity when you start to think. So when you start to examine yourself from a hot perspective, you taking ownership in a safe and nurturing environment, and you're not blaming or shaming others and yourself, you can light that spark, which starts a fire. And the fire starts from the inside out. In other words, you are being sanctified from the inside out. You are being cleansed from the inside out. And your external behavior is manifested by the change that's happening inside of you. So that rear view mirror gives you the opportunity of thinking holistically, walking taller and thinking higher. You improve your analytical skills. You improve your comprehension. You're slowing yourself down because you're looking to make a decision that's going to edify yourself, edify others, and ultimately give God the glory, bringing harmony back in the relationship. From a therapeutic point of view, once you realize your past no longer have power over you, your past is not going to treat you like a puppet. You're able to take ownership of it and claim power. So you can utilize your past as a learning tool to help you understand what your purpose is in the present to get to your destination in the future. And every time you make a decision where you taking ownership, you taking responsibility and accountability, is as if the airs in each one of your tire is being increased to 100%. Woo! Every time we make a decision that brings harmony in us, it's as if you got a nice gift or your favorite meal or you exercising, right? I'm going to read you a quote that I have in my Bible. I love this quote, and this is taken from Testimonies for the Church, Volume 4, page 56. The pleasure of doing good to others imparts a glow to the feelings, which flashes through the nerves, quickens the circulation of the blood, and induces mental and physical health. We are made to be a change agent for others, a repairer of the breach. We are called to be a center of influence, bringing harmony to others. And you will find when you start to master your experiences, it's so easy to say something that's going to spark the match in others, and they will have that aha moment when they start to experience change. Change is a lifelong process. And when you start to understand the whole aspect of having health in all areas of your life, the aging process slows down. You find yourself not being stressed out, right? And you find yourself aging gracefully, right? In the job that I work, Taisha, the job that we work, you see a lot of our colleagues that are stressed out, problem focused, and you are in a job where you have the capabilities of moving your colleagues and the families we serve into solution focused activities. When you are problem focused, is as if you are consistent with being inconsistent with managing your emotions. Let me say that one more time. When you are into your emotions, you are consistently inconsistent with managing your emotions. All you need to do is take ownership of your activities. Surround yourself with people who are going to encourage you, right? Taking ownership of yourself. One of my favorite characters in the New Testament is Barnabas. His name means to encourage others. And you need to encourage yourself first. I love what Michael Jackson said in his song Man in the Mirror. I'm starting with Garrett Ingram. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm saying, Garrett, you have to make that change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to make that change. And if I want to make a world a much better place, I need to look in myself and make that change. So as I'm sitting in my car, right, and I'm looking in the rear view mirror, I realize there are aspects of my life, from my family of origin experiences and past relational experiences I don't want to happen in my present functioning. So I have to take ownership and say, you know what? I need to name these issues, expel it, roll down my window, put it in my trunk, and utilize it as object lessons. Share my experiences and my testimony so I can move forward. Now, the two side mirrors of your vehicle that's outside your car represent your ears, right? From a therapeutic point of view, they're your ears. And they are designed to minimize any type of distractions that's preventing you from getting to your destination. Notice that the side view mirror is at the same eye level as you, and they help you to see your past externally, while you have the capability of seeing your past from me, myself, and I perspective internally. So you're able to see distractions or any internal or external circumstances or phenomena that's preventing you from getting to your destination. Now, living on the East Coast, we have 4 seasons, right? You know the summer's coming up because the weather start getting hot. Same thing with the spring. You know, weather start getting cold. You know, you got to adapt. We have to prepare ourselves from challenging situations. And the truth of the matter, everyone need to have a toolbox where they can go to when you find yourself in challenging situations, right? Because life is about challenging situations internally and externally. So the rearview mirror is your 3 aspects of self, me, myself, and I, that helps you to reframe your experiences in a positive light. Any unhealthy experience, traumatic experience whatsoever, and emotions, you name it, you roll down your window, put it in your trunk. Wherever you go, your car go with you, your trunk go with you. But it does not have to reign supreme over your entire life. It's in the back for a reason, right? Because it's going to come up. Your past is going to come up one way or another. Whatever your experience may be, is going to come up. Yet here's the catch: you're able to deal with your past with positive emotions. One of the biggest themes that come out in therapy, especially when it comes to trust and mistrust issues of a past event that someone did, is forgiving and forgetting. What makes it difficult is the event itself, which is troubling, but also the emotions that tie with it. You may have forgiven the event, but if the person is still practicing that negative emotion, you're bringing back the memory of that event. In other words, you taking that past emotion and that past event, you taking it out of the trunk and you putting it inside the car. Wow. And that's what happened a lot of time, because you have to be able to master your experience and master your emotions. All right. So the big mirror that's in front of your car is your destination. It's in front of you, is your future. Notice that it's clear. That mirror is clear. But on a rainy day, or if you live where I live, right? A lot of times condensation forms on the window, and condensation is from the heat that's inside the car that meets the cold that's outside the car. And when they come together, you have condensation on your windshield, and sometimes you cannot even see what's in front of you. And this is what happens when that past event, when that past emotions, a lot of people are stuck with aggression, verbal abuse, cussing, anger. These past issues, you just took it out of your trunk and you put it in the car, and puts condensation on your window, so you don't know where you're going because you're stuck and you're not taking ownership of the situation, and you're constantly in a form of blame and shaming. And this is why couples are stuck and you have flat tires. Imagine having 4 flat tires and you think you're going somewhere. In a lot of couples, they have flat tires and they are pulling up to a gas station. They're putting gas in their car, but they're not insulating the tires. They're not going to that air machine and putting air in their tires, because you're not taking ownership of the situation. If you're not taking ownership, you will remain stuck. And a lot of people have been stuck for years. And when you are stuck and not taking ownership, you are increasing the aging process and you start to look older because stress will kill you. Do you know that 9/10 of all disease starts in the mind? Mm. 9/10 of all disease starts in the mind. And you know what part of the car is the mind? It is your engine. Your engine can also be the your heart. If you are constantly stressed out and your engine becomes stressed out because it has to work harder, your heart has to work harder when there are strongholds in your life that you haven't dealt with. So eventually your car is going to need maintenance, right? What do you do when you need maintenance, right? And there's a theme that I call an upper room experience. Think about the area of your home where you spend a lot of time, and a lot of people spend time in their home or in their cars. It's not is quite often people take rides in their car and they for opportunities of thinking. So from this point on, if you happen to take a ride in your car, you're thinking, I want you to think about that rear view mirror. I want you to think about the side mirrors. I want you to think about your life and where you're going and what type of vision that you have for your life. Um, a healthy heart is a heart that's pumping blood, but the arteries and capillaries and veins are not constricted because of stress or because of life experiences or the five major diseases I said earlier. Part of slowing self down is taking ownership, is really examining your life from the perspective of New Start. And Taisha, you remember what New Start stands for, right? New starts stand firm, and let me go back before I forget because I have it written down here. New start, new start, new start. Let me get to new start. New start stands for nutrients and right change in diet, and that has to do with health, physical welfare. E, exercise, health. uh, W, water. S, sunlight. T, temperance. A, air. R, rest. And T, trust in God. New start. Nutrient N. E for exercise. W for water. S for sunlight. T for temperance. A for air. R for rest. And T for trust in God. And the truth of the matter, New Start has a holistic theme to it, which capitulates the four areas of life that we have talked about. So when you have in your upper room experience in your car, or whether at your office, in your home, you are actually thinking at a higher plateau. And this brings back Isaiah 55 verses 8 to 9. You start to take ownership and you realize as you slow yourself down and you realize that your thoughts can be holistic. You name your strongholds, you identify it, you roll it out the window, and you replace it to a stronger hold of having positivity in all areas of your life. Then your ways become different because you want to be solution focused, engage in solution talk. A theme that I use in therapy is called 2 to 1. If one person brings up the problem, that same person has to focus on the solution. So, in other words, we will spend 15 minutes on the problem and 30 minutes on the solution, right? I find that a lot of times, couples, you spend all day focusing on that problem. You can't wait to be in the presence of your significant other so you can verbally annihilate them, but you never spend at least 1 second on the solution. And when the solution discussion is made, you still into your emotions, you still angry and frustrated. You have no energy to discuss the solution. So the engine of your heart, the engine can be the heart, can be your brain. There's so many different ways to unpack what we're talking about. And there is no right or wrong answer to it. It's how you interpret it to so it can make sense based on your culture. This is CERT. The CERT perspective based on your culture, your experience, your reasoning, and your tradition. And you have to be able to say to yourself, you know what? There are strongholds in my CERT that needs to change. And today, not one day, but day one, I am willing to make that change. You ever wonder why in your car from time to time you have to add lubricants? I cannot pronounce it well. I'm sorry, I'm tongue tied. You have to put additives inside your car. You have to put windshield wiper. You have to change your oil. You have to put steering just lubricants for power steering and other aspects of your car. Every time you hear something and you take ownership of that and you say, you know what? I'm going to put that issue in practice. For example, you may heard the acronym LOVE, living out victory every day. I'm going to practice love today. And if you practice it, it's as if you add in lubricants to your car to improve your relational function. Come on now. It's as if you go to the gas station and you put in gas in your car. Come on now. Come on now. It's as if you are putting air in your tire to the maximum level where each of your tires is efficient and you are getting to your destination straight line. Your steering wheel, which represents your decision making activities, is straight. The steering wheel straight, so you're driving your vehicle straight, right? And if you take your hands off the wheel and you on a straight road and your car's going straight, then you know that the power steering is okay. The air is properly filled in every one of your tires, right? And this is what we need to do. We need to be straight in how we go about our decisions, how we manage our emotions, because we face trials and tribulations each and every day. Yet we should be solution focused in all of our activities, right? So the car perspective is designed to help us see and utilize an everyday experience to draw us closer to who we desire to be. Many times we have issues with our significant other. Oh, I want him and her to do this. The best way to motivate your significant other is to be the answer to the problem. For example, if you have a problem with your significant other being untidy, you be tidy, right? Let them see your example. And when you discuss this issue, discuss it from a presence of patience. Be in tune with your facial expressions and body language, right? Make sure your tone is loving, right? It's not aggressive. Your tone is not demeaning. You want to create a safe environment so you can educate and your significant other can understand fully the message you're trying to convey. Remember, this just like your car, our bodies are magnificent machines. We are externalized. We are breathing out carbon monoxide, which basically is any impurity in these four areas of life. God has designed the human body that we are exhaling any negative aspects that impacts the four areas of life. And as you breathing in, you're breathing in the goodness that can elevate these four areas of life. But hold it, your homes have to be organized. And this is what Jesus has said in that text. Your thoughts and your ways are elevated when you are organized in your home. There's a lovely scene in the Bible when Jesus was resurrected. When he was resurrected, they had the death claws on him. He folded them magnificently. So if you go there afterwards, when the brethren went there afterwards, everything in that tomb was organized. All right. And I wonder at our jobs, is our desk organized? Is our car organized? Is our home organized? We should always be ready to be influential on others based on the change that happened to us, right? One of my colleagues said something to me not too long ago in the spirit of wellness, right? I was on vacation, right? And Taisha, you heard this, right? You know I'm going with this. I was on vacation and she walked past my desk. She said that she was having a tough day, but she felt at ease when she walked past my desk. Do you think my desk was disorganized? And when she said that, tears start coming to my eyes. Is the power of being influential even when you are not there, right? So we have the ability to lead others to change when you take in ownership. You're being hot. You are humble. You are taking ownership. You are, and you're being transparent. I love to be around people who are encouraging me, who make my life easier. And what I basically mean, I'm talking about the circle of life, right? I love to lead out. If you know me, I love to lead out, but I don't always want to lead. If I'm going to lead out, I'm going to put my best in whatever I do, right? Yet I love to learn from others, right? And when you start to understand this perspective, the car perspective, the four areas of life, past, present, and future, otherwise known from a different perspective, three type of followers: prisoner, vacationer, explorer. Prisoner, stuck in their ways in these four areas of life. Vacationer, stuck in their ways because they do things at the last minute, not not being conscientious of how their behaviors impact the other. An explorer, someone realized that I need to consistently monitor the four areas of life because I want to make sure I'm getting to my destination safely. You ever wonder why some people are able to complete their tasks quicker than others, more efficient? They have more management of time. Maybe it's because they taken ownership of all areas of their life and they realize that they are perfecting their brand. So when people mention your name, what's the first word that comes to their mind? Mm. Do people want to be around you? When you on vacation, do anybody miss you? Do, do we have to beautify our exterior to try to cover up the garbage that's inside of us? Wow. So I asked myself, because before I counsel you, I have to be able to counsel myself. I desire to be the person who I want my friends to be, my wife to be, my kids to be. I'm not here to tell you I got it going on in all aspects of my life. Don't. But what I realized, there is beauty with being truthful, with being honest, with being empathetic, with being concerned about others, right? I realized that when I seek to be fulfilled in the four areas of my life, it's so easy to step out my comfort zone and be a blessing to others, right? I have two of my colleagues on this line right now, Taisha and Tony, right? Two people who have similar traits that I have, right? And I love to have discussions with others, especially women, because we as men, when it comes to our home, is the man's responsibility. Same thing with a car. Is our job to perfect the atmosphere of the house. Women beautify the home. We set up the house, right? There's something different when the man is inside the house because we set the tone of the house. We set the tone of the car, right? We like to ensure the car is safe so our significant others are driving safely to their destination. But there's something unique about being a woman, the way you guys move, the way you guys carry yourselves, how you go about making decisions, which is totally different from us. But when you have a couple understanding the need to change their shirt for aspects of your life, manifested in your culture, your experience, reasoning, and traditions, realize that there are strongholds in it, and you taking ownership. A couple is like a glove and a hand. You come together as one. And what I have experienced, and with my two colleagues who have worked on my team, when we are vibing together and we are meeting each other holistically, because even before I had discussed these things with my colleagues, because they're very familiar with the car perspective, I was practicing with them without them even knowing it. And this is what's needed in relationship. You have to model what you desire others to do. Now, here's the catch. An explorer will recognize it immediately because they'll see how you move and how you are able to achieve successes in your life. And they'll say to them, if it works for them, I believe it can work with me. But with the prisoner and the vacationer, see, seeds germinate, but at different rate. So they may not be open to receive it at that time because they don't know what areas of their life are the strongholds. They may understand they have strongholds, but do not understand which of these four areas are their strongholds, or they're not taking ownership of it. But the best thing you can do to influence others is to allow to be used by the Spirit to bring change to others. I love the text in Zechariah 4:6. Zechariah 4:6, and it says this: not by my might or my power, but by his spirit, God's spirit. That's how we can be influential with changing others, by letting them see the change within yourself. Be that change so you can influence others. And two of my members on my team has adapted that. So um when we was operating at my job, my workday wasn't as difficult as a lot of my colleagues because I have members of my team buying into this program. It's so hard to be involved in a team project where one person have flat tires. They have flat tires, but they don't know, right? And they're always going to come up. I can actually predict the behaviors of someone who has a flat tire, has issues in their life. I already know what they're going to say. They're not taking ownership. They're blaming others. Well, this has happened. That has happened. They have all the excuses in the world. They have a PhD at making excuses. And I'm sitting here, and this is why I don't have no patience. But I'm thankful when I have people around me who are impatient because I have externalized it. I'm here to tell you, I am the most impatient person I ever met. But this is what I did. I name it. I externalize it and I put it in my trunk, right? So wherever I go, it comes with me. And there's sometimes I will go inside that trunk and take impatience out and digest it again. But I don't like feeling impatient. So I have to remember when I'm feeling impatient, I gotta slow my car down. Just because the sign says drive 55 miles an hour, I don't have to drive 55 miles an hour. I gotta slow myself down because I don't like feeling anxious. There's a term that's called mindfulness. Being in tune with all aspects of your life, all these four areas of life. Name it in your body where you feel frustration. When I am impatient, I feel frustration in my heart. When my heart start beating faster, right? And I start feeling uneasy, and I don't like to feel like I have no control of the situation. I like to feel like I'm in control. right? So I have to remember to slow myself down. So this way I don't want to let frustration back in my car, right? Frustration is going to try to get back in my car, but you know what? I'm going to roll down the windows. I'm going to put my air conditioner on that's only the air circulate in the car. Come on now, brother. Got so many ways to unpack this, right? Because frustration is going to try to get back in the car through the air vent, through the windows that crack. He's going to try to get back in the car. But I'm not going to allow it to come in because I know me, being truthful, impatience, right? And when I tell folks I'm impatient, they're like, what? You don't come across as someone who's impatient. I said, yeah, I am very impatient, right? I'm very impatient with disorganization. I model organization, right? So, in the truth of the matter, I don't want to be around someone who's disorganized. What are you really doing for me? All right. I don't need you to tell me I'm disorganized. Yes, I'm disorganized, but I take the efforts of being organized, right? Right. I'm looking at the chat. Tony says she loves that PhD in the making. And let me hit you off with the acronym PhD. And I use that in counseling, right? For those who complete counseling, I would give them a heavenly certificate. And the acronym for PhD means I, Gary Ingram, have the ability to proclaim holistic deliverance from my strongholds. PhD, proclaiming holistic deliverance from my strongholds. And the car perspective will get you to do that because it's about introspection. It's about reformation, revitalization, recalibrating. All right. It's about refreshing. Right. And you do that every time you take ownership of yourself. You're in the process of being refreshed. Sometimes I just gotta slow myself down and pray for staff who are stuck or for people who are stuck to realize, and I say to myself, if they only realize what's really going on in their lives, these strongholds, and everyone has strongholds, but strongholds are not given to you to break you; given to you to help you to slow down and to revisit your issues through positive emotions. All right. So there are so many aspects of the car perspective that help you to see self. Now, here's another question, another issue I would talk about. Who are those passengers that's in your car? Right? Who are those passengers in your car? They are family members. And you're driving a car. They are putting their lives in your hand to get to the destination safely. If you are having strongholds in your life and you are not taking ownership of it, you putting yourself and others in a detrimental situation where a calamity can happen, an accident can happen. So important for us to stop making excuses and be the men and women that we desire to be, not only for ourselves, but what our spouses or significant others desire us to be. What your parents desire you to be. Every parent desire is for their children to rise up in higher relational function than themselves, right? So I'm thinking about the brand perspective, Taisha, right? You always want others to elevate. And the more you start to understand this, right? And this is something that's really, really impactful for me. For those who understand this and willing to accept it, I want to work with them to help them shine, right? And when you achieve health and wealth in your perspective, you are more inclined to be in the rear and let others shine. One of my favorite texts, and this is taken from the book of Education, page 17. And Jesus says this: when Adam was made, he had the same physical, psychological, and spiritual functioning as guard. He did not have the social. So what has happened, the strongholds of our life has weakened our capacity to be like the persons God desires us to be. And our social interactions with others is impacted by the strongholds in the three areas of life: physical, psychological, and spiritual. Right? When our social interactions are heightened, then you know that a person is taking ownership. You love to be around people who make your job easier, right? Someone who understands that you like a happy home, they get home earlier than you, they're going to make sure that your home is in order because they constantly seeking to please you, make your life easier, right? I love to be around people like that. When I'm not doing counseling, when I'm just laying my head down, just want to relax, I love to be around people who think about you and they're not always thinking about themselves, right? Whenever Jesus was not teaching or preaching, he hung around three people. I'm going to blow your mind with this. He hung around Lazarus, Mary, and Martha. Mary represents receiving. Martha represents giving. Reciprocity. What's missing in relationships is reciprocity, giving and receiving. And Lazarus represents resurrection. You put those three together, giving, receiving, and dying daily, being resurrected, being refreshed, revitalized, reformed, right? Um, adding lubricants to your car and realize you are being heightened, adding air to your tires, you become refreshed, and your interactions with others will become wholesome. You don't have to get your hair done. You don't have to get your nails done. I don't have to get a haircut. I don't have to put on a new pair of shoes or put on a pair of sneakers. I got a sneaker, 21 pairs of sneakers. No more sneakers for me. I don't have to you don't have to spend time to try to perfect your external because you're working internally, and people are going to ask you, are you exercising? Oh, did you get your hair done? What's going on with you? They're telling you about the change that's happening internally, right? I'm gonna blow your mind with this. A lot of times after while I'm doing therapy, even right now, I am soaking wet as we talking, right? I'm soaking wet. When you are genuinely concerned about the welfare of others, good things happen to you. And I'm going to read you a text, one of my favorite texts. This is taken from Proverbs chapter 11, verse 25. Let me go to it. I know about memory, but I'm going to read it. I'm taking from the King James Version, right? Proverbs, this is Old Testament, Proverbs 11:25. And it says this: the liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. Liberality means freedom. Freedom from what? You're free from any strongholds in the four areas of life. In other words, you going over a pothole, right? Nothing happened to your tire. Why? Because you are liberated from any stronghold that's preventing you from being stuck or having a flat tire, right? You are living present. You are relevant to the present because your past no longer have you stuck. You are liberated from any stronghold, so you are in the process of perfecting your PhD, right? So a soul is actually a person. When Jesus made Adam, he got his hands dirty, formed Adam from the dust of the ground, breathed in Adam's nostril, and Adam became a living soul. So a living soul shall be made fat. What's the acronym for fat? Faithful, available, and teachable. The liberal soul shall be made fat. So when you take ownership with the daily experience of seeking to keep your tires, four areas of life heightened and sustaining it, you become fat because you're always seeking to show others in your communications and your interactions and your work performance of how you move to spark the fire within others' heart by helping them to light that match, right? So you become fat when you're able to focus less on you and more on others. John the Baptist says this in John chapter 3, verse 30, and this is from the King James Version. He says this, he, referring to Jesus, must increase, but I need to decrease. Let me make this personal. Jesus needs to increase, but behold, underlying truth. I, Gary Ingram, need to decrease. So I need to understand there are strongholds in the four areas of my life, predicated to me having four flat tires. I need to fill up the air in all four of my tires so I can really be the person that my wife wants me to be, that my colleagues desire me to be, that my children desire to me. Most importantly, the Lord desires me to be. Truth of the matter, we are all called to be missionaries. I'm operating as a missionary in the role of a marital and family counselor. I'm also a missionary in the role as an ordained elder at my church. I'm also a missionary in the role of a husband, as well as a friend, as a father. It's my job to take this biblical message holistically in the four areas of life and figure out ways that I can teach this message to others to help them be more impactful in what they're doing. All right. So the end of this text says this, and he or she that waters shall be watered himself. Right. So as I'm sweating here and I'm sharing this knowledge with you, the impurities in the four areas of my life is being eradicated from my body. Right. And right now I'm experiencing a little cold. I don't have a sore throat, but I felt myself being getting a little sick. I know when I'm getting sick because I started getting chills and so forth. And that happened like yesterday. But then I realized, I said to myself, when I'm feeling sick, I'm about to feel sick, I'm going to take my mind off my issues and I'm going to focus on others. And when I do that, the brain automatically releases hormones that surround the impurities in my body, right? And it actually eradicates that through the sweat. So after this session, I have to go take a shower because I'm in soaking wet right now. I'm going to blow your mind with this. You ever wonder how a pearl is made in a clam or oyster? Check this out. A challenging issue, right? Piece of sand or a parasite enter in the clam. The clam defense mechanisms surround that piece of sand or that parasite. It hardens, then it becomes a pearl. When we realize there are strongholds in the four areas of our life, and we take ownership. The brain, just like the engine of the car, just like I just focus the engine of the car. Power. The engine exert power that surrounds the issue of your life of the car, and the car is able to perfect itself. You can say that the issues of life can also be the brake, but most cars have an emergency brake, and sometimes you have to activate that that emergency brake to slow down the car, right? So when we take ownership of the issues in our lives, the brain releases endorphins or hormones that surround that impurity, right? And eventually eradicates the body, and you become shining like a diamond. You regain your health and your vitality. So even though I'm feeling a little sick, not nauseous, um, I can actually hear the sickness in my voice, but my throat is not sore. I'm drinking some lemon tea here right now, and I feel great. So as I expressed and took time with this live session this evening discussing the car perspective, I'm actually pouring out to everyone in this forum who sees this video what has been poured into me. And that's how I am worded as I help you and share knowledge with you to increase your relational functioning. God is going to give me added perspectives, different perspectives, everyday perspectives to really educate my clients to move forward. And before I go, I'll hit you with this perspective. I call it the sink and drain perspective. And this, remember, going back to Lazarus, Mary, and Martha, we are called to be reciprocal, right? We are called to give, receive, give, and be insightful. And that's what resurrection, be insightful, be an agent of change, a change agent. So the foresight and sink perspective is this. Many times we are called to pour out into others, and water represents truth. We are called to pour out into others, and others is the sink, right? As others pour, as I'm pouring out right now, I'm pouring out information to you. You're like the sink. You're taking this information in. But what happens in a lot of relationships, people will put the clog on, and they'll prevent the water from going down. Some people actually get a bucket, and they'll just take that water out of it because when you're stuck, you're not at that time open to receive truth from others. Yet truth impacts others, and some people may have opened up a little to let some water go down. But remember, truth, you cannot stop truth. You cannot stop health, right? And a lot of times we are intoxicated with our ways, but not everyone's intoxicated. They may remember what you have said when they're having that quality time in their car or in their home, and they'll start to remember and slowly but surely start to put into practice what you have poured out into them. So I hope that you enjoyed this live session this evening called The Car Perspective, Unpacking the Car Perspective to Improve Relational Functioning. I will be going live every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to what time is right now? I'm going to try to keep it from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Wow. From 8 to 9. Try a little bit over an hour, right? And please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. And before I go, I just want to look at the questions and see if I have any questions over here. Okay, I'm going to scroll up to the top. I have Taisha's telling me hi, GI. How you doing? You're speaking on some very good stuff. She says, how can one be humble if a person doesn't understand how to take accountability for his or her behaviors? How can you be humble if a person doesn't understand how to take accountability for his or her behaviors? And the answer to your question is you have to model accountability, right? Be the answer to the problem. And sometimes it's just, you just have to let the person see from your actions, right? Be the answer to the issue, then have the discussion. It's not easy to be humble, right? But we are called to be humble. So be the answer to the problem. Realize that pride, which is the opposite of humble, is based on the person having strongholds in these 4 areas of life. He or she may not realize they lack in being accountable, or they may realize but blaming others. Create a safe environment, a nurturing environment where there's no blaming or shaming, so you can have a live discussion in real time about these issues. Maybe going out for some ice cream, put a candle or some nice music in the background to have an uplifting discussion. And remember, if you bring it up, practice that 2 to 1. You can start with from the issue, focus the issue for 10 minutes, discuss a solution for 20 minutes, or you can use the 4 to 1 perspective. Discuss the challenging issues, but surround it with 4 positive traits that the person bring. You can start with 2, discuss the challenge and issues, but end with 2 promising and uplifting issues. Practice humility. All right, it's not easy, but we can do all things through Christ, for He strengthens me, and that's right behind me, Philippians 4:13. All right, so let me go down, see if we have any more questions. I see we need to be humble. Accountability is the key. I see there is some positivity with New Start, right? And Tony says that she loved being a PhD in the making. Yes. And you know what? The PhD that I have on this wall over here does nothing. It doesn't mean nothing if I'm not practicing. And I find having a heavenly PhD, which goes wherever I go and which I give to my clients, is more appealing and more provocative in life when we are practicing what we desire others to be. All right. Let me see any more questions. I don't see any more questions over here. So I hope you enjoy this presentation this evening. Remember this. Remember this statement. I will strive for perfection while settling for excellence. I will be on next Wednesday, same time, same bat channel. We'll be discussing another aspect to improve relational functioning. Enjoy your evening and have a great evening.